I'm so happy to welcome you to my little basic mixology workshop. It's a very fun event that I was invited to from Valentina. Thank you so much. In the frame of Slow Food Youth Network, which is super cool. I'm super inspired by this initiative that I'm having the privilege of being part of this slow food drink festival, and all online with so many interesting people. Super cool. So I'm Elisabeth Wittich, and I'm just having a great passion in mixology, like mixing drinks. I have made a workshop in Canada, in Toronto, and there I've learned some basics, and then coming back home I thought, now I'm doing it. I'm showing my friends how to make cocktails, and I'm doing cosmopolitans. So that was nothing. It was really not delicious because I was cheap on ice cubes. I was using those ice cubes over and over again, and then it was just super diluted, super strong in the end. So I said, wow, this is really a science, and this is why I digged into this much deeper and was making many other workshops afterwards to learn and to go deeper and deeper. So this was already I guess 6 years ago, and so back in my university I was also making some workshops, and I'm just happy to share my knowledge with you guys, even if it's just a little bit basic, but I'm sure you will be able to take some inspirations with you, and I'm happy to welcome you. What are we doing today actually? So I'm having this beautiful book that a good friend of mine was telling me about, which is one of the greatest bartender I know. Hello, Max. And this is it. So it's the Cocktailian. It's an incredible book written by three very important guys. Two of them are the founders of the Mixology magazine, which is a very big thing. They're writing just about mixology, as you might have imagined. And the third guy is the co-founder of the bar convent that is happening every year in Berlin, which is also massive. All the bartenders are just pilgriming there every year, which is really cool. And the special thing about this book, they took all their knowledge and tried to categorize all the cocktails, and figured out that they had 14 key cocktails or key categories that I want to base on, because once you have understood the formula for this one key cocktail, you can invent so many others based on this. And for today, I was thinking we can start first with a very simple one, which is a Bloody Mary, but of course super delicious, and it has a little twist on it. The second one will be the Margarita, that is made with grapefruit juice, so we will shake a little bit. And then we will do an old-fashioned, which is also from, so it's all very different, which is only stirred. And if we will have time, we can also do a fourth one, which is also a sour, but with egg white. And so I would say I'm talking very shortly about mixology first. Why did I call it mixology? It's just because of the fact that I think it's such a science, and ology, it says already, this is like the science of the mixing. It does not say that bartending is any worse, but it's more open to infusions of drying citruses, of making shrubs, making all these crazy things, maybe some, I don't know, gels or something like this. But focus also a lot on freshness, For example, nowadays they're more focused on mocktails, like without the alcohol, and on freshly pressed juices. And yeah, first of all, let's go through the equipment that I'm always thinking of when I'm setting up a bar, which is, of course, a cobbler shaker. So you have two different kinds. One is the cobbler, which is made out of 3 parts. It's nice when you have something that with ice that you don't want to put in the drink, so it can go directly like this. So for example, for foamy drinks, it's nice when you have egg whites. Then you have the Boston shaker, which is really cool because it allows you to work really fast because you don't have those thingies. And I'm sometimes struggling with the under pressure it creates when you're shaking it. It's getting super cold, and then like struggling to open it up. And this is why I really love this Boston shaker, but it's up to everyone. It's like it depends on your taste. Here I will tell you about the technique later on, how to use it in the right way. Then you have the bar spoon. You can, with this part, you can stamp on some, like crush some mint, for example, in the glass or in juleps, which is super, super soft. Like it won't destroy the structure of the leaf. And of course the spoon itself. And this little twist is nice for making layers in shots, for example. This is the thaw horn strainer. You would use it like this and can play with that. So if you want to strain your drink, you can push it even down a little bit and keep away the ice. Then we have the jigger, which is the measurement for our spirit and the liquor and juices. Usually you would have in the bigger side 5 centiliters if you go very up. And on the smaller side you would have 30 till 35 milliliters or 3.5 centiliters. It depends. For example, this would be, I think, the Japanese jigger. The American jigger are a little bit bigger. I have 2 just because they're getting dirty all the time. Then we have a strainer, which is nice when you have leaves in your drinks that you want to double strain it, or if it's a drink that is shaken and strained onto an empty glass without ice. You want to keep away the smaller broken ice parts so it won't dilute your drink further. Then we have a knife, a peeler, which is amazing. It's substantial for garnish. And yeah, some glasses. Glasses are also an important part to impress your guests. It's super nice to have this variety. Like you can highlight your drink in such a great way when you're like using a martini glass, even though it's a little bit difficult to drink, but it's just super pretty because it's so high. Then you have a coupette, which is the more round form and usually also a little bit higher. This is this is a tumbler. This is a tumbler. You would drink out of this your old fashioned, for example, or your whiskey. This will be, yeah, actually it's from Schweppes, but it's a long drink glass, which is something like a highball. Highball has higher volumes, like 350 milliliters, but this one is amazing for fizz, for making a fizz. So you're making a sour, you're shaking it, pouring it over it, and then you add a little dash of sparkling water and all the foam will go up a little bit. So it's like super elegant. Alright, I think enough of that. We can start with our drinks. we will do the Bloody Mary, and for that you would usually use vodka, tomato juice, Worcester sauce, Tabasco, salt, pepper, and a little bit of lime juice. So I was focusing on, since it's slow food in it, I was using a local spirit that is somehow similar to vodka. It's on the base of wheat, and it's not aged, it's called corn, and has only 32 degrees, which is amazing when you're having your hangover drink, which is not like kicking too hard. So you would use, when you're having this simple built-in glass drink, what you want to focus on is the ratio. The ratio should usually be 1 part spirit to 3 parts filler. So when we think about this is like 200 milliliters filling, we can fit in this, let's say, 40 milliliters. So this is what we're gonna do. In this we're gonna add, I was thinking about sriracha because it's super delicious and it's something different than Tabasco. So as you like, you can add as much spiciness as you can handle. So you need the spicy component, then you need some depth, which is amazing with celery bitters. It's like, imagine of making a soup, something like gazpacho or something like this. Then you have salt, pepper, and then I would always go for, you should always keep this in mind to keep it a little fresh, so you have this nice acidic flavor to it and taste. So here you really need just a little bit, so I would go for 10 milliliters. So in a bar spoon it would be 7.5 milliliters, so you would go for 1.5 bar spoons. Once we have this, I've made some tomato juice, which I didn't cook because I wanted to keep the fresh flavors of the tomato, and also I added some bell peppers as well for giving it a little bit more bitter taste, more flavor complexity. And I've salted it as well. So this one is quite watery, but I want to keep it as light as possible in this sense. So before we're pouring the filler in, we always add the ice and stir the sriracha a little bit. So, and in terms of ice, you would never be cheap. Don't be as silly as I was, and people will love you. Here we go. It's a little bit chunky because I haven't peeled the tomatoes, because I think it's a pity when you are losing all the fibers and all the seeds. It's like, it belongs in there, you know? It needs to be there, and if you're doing it with your friends, no one will care. If you're doing it for guests, maybe I would strain it, but in this sense. So, then you give it a little stir and always taste. I'm trying to take a drop, just like taking a little bit from the soup and pour it onto my hand bag, so it creates a little perfect drop, and taste. It's crazy delicious. Still, we're not ready yet. We always take care of our garnish. This is why I've prepared the celery here. Keep it long and nice. Okay. 3 3 is a nice number, I guess. So we're gonna go with this inside there. Opa. And also I like the lemon peel in this. So in order to get all the etheric oils of the lemon, you would squeeze it on top of your drink. So when your friend is drinking it, it has, or he or she has, all the amazing flavors of lemon. So my boyfriend is filming it, and he is the one that needs to try this and give us a comment. He will stay behind the camera.
Thank you. Super nice.
Yeah.
Very spicy, but still fresh.
Cool.
I like it.
Okay, here we go. Great, so that was our first drink. So this was about just how to build the cocktails without shaking. It's super easy. You can also do it in the same way with gin tonic, dark and stormy, and whatever. So for the next cocktail, we're gonna use the shaker because it's gonna be a margarita. So I will speed up a little bit because we are already in time. Okay. For this, I've decided to take the tequila reposado, not like the usual, the Bianco, because it's a little bit smoother and has a little bit more depth to it. For this, we will take 5 centiliters. So you would always pour first in your glass without the ice because you don't want to water it down first. So the ice is the last thing that comes to it. I've decided not to take triple sec like usually in a margarita, but use agave syrup, organic, just because I wanted to highlight the flavors of agave a little bit more. So for this I would take, depends on your taste, but I would take 1.5 bar spoons, which is around 15 milliliters. Then we are having so since we wanted to focus on grapefruit, I've prepared already freshly pressed grapefruit juice and lime juice 1-to-1, because the grapefruit juice is very aromatic, but it's also quite sweet and a little bit bitter, but not so acidic. And you really need to have this acidity in order to to catch the heaviness a little bit of the spirit of the tequila, to make it like poppy and fresh. So that was 50 milliliters that I've added. So why are we taking this drink now? Usually once you're having freshly pressed juices of citrus that are super sour, such as lemon or lime, you want to shake them, because this way it incorporates all the flavor much better. So this is oleum saccharum, which is basically just the peel of grapefruit and sugar, and by putting it on overnight, it soaks out all the liquids, which is the oils of the grapefruit, and this way you can obtain this, like this juice is pure etheric oil. So you really need just a little bit to give a little bit more depth into your daiquiri. Further on, I was thinking how to make it a little bit more interesting, and came up with this cool idea to make it a little bit spicy with jalapeno, pickled jalapeno juice. So you have the spiciness and the umaminess and a little bit saltiness, which is amazing. Umami is enhancing the overall flavor of your drink, and takes away the bitterness even. So 1.5 bar spoons, depends on how you like your drink to be spicy. And that's it. So we're filling the ice into the other half. So don't be cheap with the ice. We're putting So I know it's a lot of ice. Take a look inside, but it needs to be like this because the more ice you have, the more energy you have in order to cool this down and not to water it down. You don't want this. Okay, let's go. When we close the Boston shaker, you need to watch this one straight line. Once you've found it, give it a nice hit on top and shake it. Your drink is ready when you see this condensing water, or when you do it with metal Boston shaker, you will see a frost. So before we take it out, never forget to taste. Ooh, this is so good. It's very intense. It's sour, it's spicy, it's very aromatic, the smokiness of the tequila comes out. I'm double straining it because we don't have any ice. And we don't want to water the drink down. Here we go. So, the garnish. Was thinking just to take one jalapeno. ¿Dónde es? Okay. Here you go. Salute.
Thanks.
What is it?
Not as spicy as I thought, but
yes.
A little bit. Very nice. I think a better version than the original recipe.
Don't say this yet. Okay. You're my boyfriend, you're supposed to say this, right? Okay, so now we're coming to the old-fashioned. Not so old-fashioned because we're using, instead of whiskey, a rum. Yeah, just because we like rum. And for this, so an old-fashioned, the key cocktail is an old-fashioned. You have a spirit, then you have a sugar source, like a sweet source that can be sugars and everything that is sweet, and bitters. So usually it's Angostura bitters, so this is why we took those. And as a sugar source, usually you want to take something that is super intense in sweetness. So it could be a syrup, simple syrup, on 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, or you take honey, whatever. This time I'm taking a coconut blossom syrup because I thought it might work very well with the flavors of this rum. For this, we prepare it directly in the glass as well. We take this time 6 centiliters of the rum. In the beat. So for an old-fashioned, you want to stir it super long time. Some people say that only after 6 minutes an old-fashioned is ready, actually. For the sugar, it really depends. Like, some people really hate it to be sweet, some people really love it to be sweet. So here it's already enough, 1 bar spoon. And also the rum is already quite sweet. We don't want to over sweeten it. And a few dashes of an Angostura. That's it. For this you want to have big chunks of ice cubes. When you're working in the bar, never touch the ice cubes, alright? Since we're not in the bar, we can do whatever we want. So we have big chunks of ice cubes. Here we go. Okay. So now, you want to stir, 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 and forget it. Just forget about that you're stirring it. You're just stirring, stirring, stirring. So usually if you would take it seriously, you would go at least half a minute. And when you realize that there's gonna be place for more ice cubes, just fill it up with so many ice cubes, because this will help the drink not to dilute but bring the right temperature. So you want to have a temperature of even -2 and -1 degrees. So your ice is practically the same degrees as your drink, so it will stop diluting. Why do we want not to dilute it? Because all the flavors will get separated. So once it's diluted, you will have a drink that is, on the beginning, once you taste it, at first is coming maybe sweetness, then the sourness kicks in, and then like a long taste of alcohol will last. So this is really not pleasant. You can make a little trial at your home to make one drink just with a few drops, we're already late. With a few ice cubes and one with more ice cubes, and just to compare it. So for the last step, the garnish, I decided for going for lime and just like grind it very, very thinly on top, because also lime, I realized, has this slight flavor of coconut, which is amazing, gives it a little more delicacy and a little twist. I'm so happy you were there and you took part on this little mixology workshop, and I hope that you have learned something. And have a good evening.
Cheers.